Here, try this piece.
It's really good.
Thank you. The colors are amazing tonight, aren't they? If only this moment never ended. Even if it ends. This is absolutely perfect.
It really is. I wish we could stay out here forever.
Oh God, we're going over. Please help me! Hey, someone might be lying there. Look, over there.
We need an ambulance immediately. Someone is unconscious on the shore. He's still alive, and we must take him to the hospital immediately.
Vitals dropping. Maxing the oxygen flow.
Where is she? Is she still alive? Can you talk now?
The girl, she was in the sea. Please, find her.
Please don't worry. We have already started the search.
We need some information. Where did you last see her? What was she wearing? Which direction was the boat heading? We were near the main entrance when I last saw her. She had her hair up.
We are trying to find her. Stay strong.
Stay alive, I will find you.
The current suggests we focus the search grid here, near the banks.
But what about the depth readings we got yesterday? That's a huge area.
We need to prioritize the shallow water fortunes.
Based on the tide and currents, this is where we need to focus the search.
All units, converge on the marina immediately.
The signal originated right here, Sector Gamma. We have to move fast.
Dispatch, we're rolling code 3. Have area standing by. Location is 4th and L.
Copy. Initiating pursuit protocol.
Watch the intersection, they might split up.
It's on Main Street.
All units, stay sharp. Let's move.
All available units proceed to search zones Alpha and Beta. Coordinates are 39.2, negative 122.4.
Approach with caution.
Cast off those lines.
Lines are clear, Captain. Full throttle ahead.
Here's the bag.
Got it. Move quickly. Watch your step. We're on.
Maintain spacing, optimize coverage. Sector 4 clear. Moving north.
Lena.
Lena. It's okay. I'm here.
It's okay, Lena.
I'm here.
Don't leave me.
feels so good to be here with all of you.
I came home. We're just happy you're safe now, my love.
now, keep him in the house and he will leave. Testing it slowly, watching, waiting to see if it will truly float. In this fragile, uncertain movement.
sleeps deeply on the shore.
You are safe. My child. It's over. You came back. Everything is going to be fine now. Just rest.
We'll be back first thing in the morning. Get some sleep.
Can't believe we made it.
We have a second chance now. That's all that matters.
Congratulations to you both. We wish you a lifetime of happiness. Woo! Congratulations! You did it! Congratulations, you two!
We are so happy for you both. Blessings.
Cheers!
To the bride and groom,
Our new life together starts now.
I love you so much.
Today, I'm going to tell you the complete story behind the survival film Adrift, how it was made, who created it, and the real-life tragedy that inspired it. This is not just a movie about the ocean. It is a story about love. It is a story about survival. And most importantly, it is a story about the incredible strength of the human spirit. Adrift was released in 2018. The film was directed by Baltasar Kormákur, an Icelandic filmmaker known for creating intense survival dramas. Before this film, he directed ADRIFT, another powerful survival story. Because of his experience, he knew exactly how to bring realism and emotional depth to a disaster film. The movie stars Shailene Woodley as Tammy Oldham and Sam Claflin as Richard Sharp. But what makes this film truly powerful is that it is based on a true story. In 1983, a young couple named Tammy Oldham and Richard Sharp set sail from Tahiti to San Diego. They were hired to deliver a luxury yacht across the Pacific Ocean. It was supposed to be a beautiful adventure across paradise waters. But everything changed when they sailed directly into one of the most devastating hurricanes in recorded history, Hurricane Raymond. The storm was catastrophic. Waves as tall as buildings crashed into their boat. Winds roared at nearly 140 miles per hour. The ocean turned violent and merciless. When Tammy finally regained consciousness after the storm, she found herself alone. The boat was destroyed. The navigation systems were broken. There was barely any food or water left. And Richard was gone. This real-life tragedy later became the foundation of the film. Years after the incident, Tammy Oldham Ashcraft wrote a memoir titled Red Sky and Morning, where she described her terrifying 41 days lost at sea. That book became the inspiration for Adrift. When producers discovered her story, they knew it had the potential to become an emotional survival film. Director Baltasar Kormákur wanted the movie to feel authentic. He didn't want it to look artificial or overly dramatic like a typical Hollywood disaster film. He wanted the audience to feel the isolation, the hunger, the fear, and the emotional breakdown. That's why much of the movie was filmed on real water. The production team shot scenes in the open ocean near Fiji. Filming on real water was extremely difficult. The cast and crew had to deal with unpredictable weather, strong waves, and constant motion. For the hurricane scenes, they used massive water tanks and powerful wind machines to recreate the terrifying storm. Special lighting rigs were installed to simulate lightning flashes. The production team combined practical effects with CGI to make the storm feel realistic, but not exaggerated. Shailene Woodley didn't just act in the movie, she also served as a producer. She was deeply committed to telling Tammy's story respectfully. To prepare for the role, she met with the real Tammy Oldham Ashcraft. She listened carefully to her memories, her trauma, and her emotional experiences. She even learned how to sail so she could handle the boat naturally on camera. During filming, Shailene pushed herself physically. Since Tammy was stranded for 41 days with limited food, Shailene reduced her diet to make her physical appearance look more realistic. She performed many scenes herself, including challenging water sequences. Sam Claflin also trained in sailing and focused heavily on building emotional chemistry with Shailene. Their relationship on screen needed to feel genuine because the love story is the emotional heart of the film. One of the most powerful elements of Adrift is its storytelling structure. The movie shifts between two timelines, the happy romance before the storm and the terrifying survival journey after it. This back and forth editing builds emotional contrast. It shows what was lost and what was at stake. Cinematography played a huge role in the film's impact. The camera often uses wide shots to show the endless ocean, making Tammy appear small and vulnerable. Drone shots capture the isolation of a single damaged boat floating in an infinite sea. Close-up shots focus on her emotional pain, fear, hope, confusion, and determination. The music in the film is subtle and minimal. Instead of loud dramatic scores, the sound design emphasizes the ocean itself, the wind, the crashing waves, the creaking wood of the damaged yacht. This makes the experience more immersive and realistic. The film had a production budget of around $35 million and earned over $60 million worldwide. While it wasn't a massive blockbuster, it was considered a commercial success and received positive reviews for its emotional depth and Shailene Woodley's performance. But beyond numbers, what makes Adrift unforgettable is its emotional twist. As the story unfolds, we discover something heartbreaking, something that changes how we understand the survival journey. The twist reveals the psychological depth of trauma and the human mind's ability to protect itself during extreme suffering. This isn't just a story about surviving the ocean. It's about surviving grief. It's about holding on to hope when everything seems lost. It's about the power of love, even in absence. When the real Tammy Aldom Ashcraft watched the completed film, she said it captured the emotional truth of her experience. She appreciated how the filmmakers respected her story and avoided turning it into simple entertainment. In the end, Adrift teaches us something powerful. Nature can be merciless. Life can change in seconds. Love can be fragile, but the human spirit can be stronger than the storm. And that is the true message behind this incredible survival film. Now let's go deeper into what really made Adrift such a powerful and emotionally intense film. When director Baltasar Kormaker decided to make this movie, he knew one thing very clearly: the ocean itself had to feel like a character. The sea in this film is not just a background setting. It represents danger. It represents isolation. And it represents the emotional chaos inside Tammy's mind. To achieve that realism, the production team avoided using green screens as much as possible. Instead of placing the actors in a fake studio environment, they built a real-scale yacht and filmed in controlled ocean environments. However, filming on water is one of the hardest challenges in cinema. Cameras cannot stay stable easily. Equipment can get damaged by salt water. Weather can change suddenly. And actors can easily become exhausted due to constant motion. The crew had to design special floating camera rigs. Some scenes were filmed using boats that moved alongside the main yacht. In storm sequences, enormous water tanks were used to simulate violent waves safely. For hurricane scenes, powerful wind machines blasted air at extreme speeds. Water cannons sprayed thousands of gallons of water repeatedly onto the actors. Lighting technicians created artificial lightning flashes to mimic a real storm. Despite all this preparation, filming was physically and mentally draining. Shailene Woodley has said in interviews that this was one of the hardest films she ever worked on. She was constantly wet, cold, and emotionally pushed to her limits. But the emotional preparation was even more intense than the physical one. Before shooting began, Shailene spent time talking with the real Tammy Aldom Ashcraft. She wanted to understand not just the facts of the story, but the feelings. What does it feel like to wake up alone in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? What does it feel like to believe the love of your life is gone? What does it feel like to face death every single day for 41 days? These were not simple acting questions. They required deep emotional connection. Now let's talk about the film's structure and its most powerful twist. Throughout the movie, we see Richard alive after the storm. He talks to Tammy. He encourages her. He motivates her to survive. He becomes her emotional support system. But near the end of the film, we discover the heartbreaking truth. Richard actually died during the hurricane. The version of Richard we see after the storm is a projection of Tammy's mind. This twist is not meant to shock the audience. It is meant to show how trauma works. When someone experiences extreme loss, the brain sometimes creates protective illusions. It allows the person to cope, to survive, to keep moving forward. In Tammy's case, her love for Richard became her strength. Even though he was gone, her mind held on to him as a source of courage. This psychological depth is what separates Adrift from typical survival films. It's not just about physical survival. It's about emotional survival. The cinematography during this reveal is subtle and powerful. Notice how the lighting changes. Notice how the tone becomes quieter. The ocean suddenly feels even bigger and emptier. The audience realizes that Tammy has truly been alone, and that realization hits hard. Another important detail is how the film avoids turning the story into melodrama. There are no exaggerated villains, no dramatic speeches, just silence, wind, water, and human endurance. Even the ending is restrained. When Tammy finally reaches Hawaii after navigating thousands of miles using only a sextant and basic navigation skills, the moment is not loud or explosive. It is quiet, because survival in real life is quiet. The film ends not with celebration, but with reflection. Now let's talk about the real-life aftermath. After surviving 41 days at sea, Tammy Oldham Ashcraft had to rebuild her life. She continued sailing. She continued exploring. She refused to let fear control her future. That decision to return to the ocean shows extraordinary courage. And that is perhaps the deepest message of Adrift. Survival is not just about staying alive. It is about choosing to live again. From a filmmaking perspective, Adrift is a masterclass in controlled storytelling. It balances romance, disaster, psychology, and realism without losing focus. It proves that sometimes the most powerful stories are the simplest ones: one person, one boat, and an endless ocean. And maybe that's why this film stays with us long after it ends. Because deep down, we all face storms in our lives. Some storms are physical, some are emotional, some are invisible. But like Tammy, we move forward, one wave at a time. The film begins in complete silence. We see the ocean, endless blue calm, but then suddenly chaos. Tammy wakes up inside a destroyed yacht. Water floods the cabin. The boat is broken. The sky is gray. The wind is still violent. She is injured, confused, bleeding. She calls out Richard's name. There is no answer. The camera stays close to her face. We feel her fear. We feel her disorientation. This is how the movie pulls us in, not with loud music, but with confusion and realism. Then the timeline shifts. We are taken back in time to Tahiti. The colors are warm. The ocean is peaceful. Tammy is adventurous, free-spirited, living a simple life. She meets Richard, a calm and experienced sailor. Their connection feels natural. No dramatic pickup lines. No exaggerated romance. Just two people who love the sea. We watch their relationship grow slowly, sailing together, laughing, planning dreams. The editing continues to move between past and present. In the present timeline, Tammy struggles to survive. She checks the damage. The navigation equipment is destroyed. The radio is broken. The engine doesn't work. Food supplies are limited. Water is scarce. She climbs to the deck and finally finds Richard severely injured. He tells her he's hurt badly. He cannot move much. Even in his injured state, he encourages her. He says she can do this. He tells her to stay strong. These moments build emotional tension because we see the romance from the past and now the broken reality in the present. Back in the past timeline, we see the couple accept a job offer to deliver a luxury yacht across the Pacific Ocean. It's a huge opportunity. They hesitate, but eventually they accept. That decision changes everything. Then comes the storm. The hurricane sequence is one of the most intense scenes in the film. The sky darkens. Waves begin to rise. Wind screams violently. The camera shakes violently with the boat. Richard struggles to control the yacht. Tammy is thrown across the deck. Water crashes over them repeatedly. Lightning flashes in the darkness. Then suddenly, a massive wave flips the boat. Silence. Cut to black. We return to the present timeline again. Tammy wakes up after the storm. This is where survival truly begins. She assesses the damage. She finds basic navigation tools. She manages to repair a small part of the sail. Her body is weak. She is dehydrated, sunburned, exhausted. Days pass. The sun becomes brutal. The ocean feels endless. We see her talking to Richard. He gives her emotional support. He reminds her of their love. He reminds her of her strength. She reads navigation charts. She studies wind direction. She uses a sextant to determine location. The film carefully shows the process of survival: fishing for food, collecting rainwater, repairing torn sails, enduring loneliness. There are moments when she almost gives up, moments when she screams at the sky, moments when she breaks down completely. But every time Richard's voice encourages her. The ocean sometimes becomes calm, almost peaceful. Other times, waves hit the boat violently again. We see hallucination-like sequences, her mind drifting between memory and reality. As weeks pass, her physical condition worsens. Her skin becomes pale. Her body becomes thinner. Her movements become slower. The ocean feels bigger and emptier with every passing day. Then comes the emotional turning point. Tammy realizes she must sail toward Hawaii, thousands of miles away. It is her only hope. She sets the direction. Days turn into weeks. Finally, near the end of the film, land appears in the distance. Hawaii. She cries. Relief floods her face. But then comes the twist. When rescuers arrive and ask about Richard, we discover the truth. Richard never survived the hurricane. He was swept away during the storm. The version of Richard we saw throughout the survival journey was created by her mind. He was a projection, a coping mechanism. Her brain created him to help her survive unbearable loneliness. Suddenly, every previous scene changes meaning. Every conversation, every moment of encouragement. She had truly been alone the entire time. The emotional weight of that realization is overwhelming. The ocean no longer feels just dangerous. It feels heartbreakingly empty. The final scenes show Tammy recovering physically, but emotionally, she carries deep loss. The movie ends quietly. No dramatic music, no loud celebration. Just survival, just reflection. And that silence is powerful, because the story is not about defeating nature. It is about enduring it. It is about love continuing even after death. It is about how the human mind protects us when reality becomes too painful. And that is the full journey of Adrift. A simple story. One boat, one ocean, one woman, and a storm that changed everything. Now let's go even deeper. Because Adrift is not really about the ocean. It is about the human mind. When we watch the film for the first time, we think it's a survival story. A woman fighting nature, fighting hunger, fighting exhaustion. But when we watch it carefully, we realize it's a psychological survival story. After the hurricane, Tammy's brain experienced extreme trauma. Trauma does something very powerful to the human mind. It protects us. Sometimes it protects us by hiding the truth. When Richard dies in the storm, the pain is too much. The loss is too sudden. The isolation is too overwhelming. So her mind creates a version of him, not as a ghost, not as a fantasy, but as emotional support. This is called a trauma-induced coping mechanism. In extreme survival situations, the brain can create vivid hallucinations or dissociative experiences to reduce psychological collapse. If Tammy had fully accepted Richard's death immediately, she might have given up. She might have stopped trying. She might have let the ocean take her. But instead, her mind gave her hope. Richard becomes her internal voice. He encourages her. He motivates her. He keeps her alive. So in a strange way, love saves her, even though he is gone. That is why the twist is not meant to shock us. It is meant to break us quietly. Because when we realize she was alone the entire time, the loneliness becomes heavier. Every conversation she had, every smile she shared, every comforting word was coming from inside her own mind. That is powerful storytelling. Now let's talk about what the movie changed compared to real life. In reality, Richard Sharp was swept overboard during the hurricane and never found. In the film, they keep him present throughout most of the story for emotional impact. This was a creative decision. If the audience knew from the beginning that Richard was dead, the emotional journey would feel different. By revealing the truth later, the film allows viewers to experience the same psychological denial Tammy experienced. Another difference is the romantic tone. In real life, their relationship was strong, but the film intensifies certain romantic moments to strengthen emotional connection with the audience. This is common in biographical films. The timeline is also slightly compressed in the movie to maintain pacing. In reality, survival is slower, quieter, and often more repetitive than cinema can show. The film carefully balances realism with emotional storytelling. Now let's analyze the ocean as symbolism. Throughout the movie, the ocean represents more than nature. It represents uncertainty. It represents grief. It represents the unknown future. When the ocean is calm, we feel hope. When the ocean becomes violent, we feel emotional chaos. The camera often frames Tammy as very small against the massive sea. This visual choice reminds us how fragile human life is. But it also shows something else. Even though she is small, she refuses to disappear. That contrast is the heart of the movie. Small human, infinite ocean, unbreakable will. Now let's talk about the ending from a deeper emotional perspective. When Tammy finally reaches land, the victory feels quiet. There is no dramatic celebration scene, because survival is not glamorous. Survival is exhausting. Survival is painful. And sometimes survival means living with memories that hurt forever. The film does not give us emotional closure in a traditional way. Richard is gone. The love story does not get a happy ending. But what we do get is resilience. Tammy continues sailing after the tragedy. Think about that. After surviving 41 days alone in the Pacific Ocean, after losing the love of her life, she returns to the sea. That decision is braver than surviving the storm, because physical survival is instinct, but choosing not to live in fear is courage. And that is the final message of Adrift. Life will bring storms. Some storms will destroy everything. Some storms will take people away from us. But if we keep moving forward, even slowly, even painfully, we can find land again. Maybe not the same life we had before, but a new one. And sometimes that is enough. Imagine waking up in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Your boat is destroyed. Your body is injured. There is no land in sight, no rescue team, no signal. And the person you love most in this world is gone. This is not fiction. This is the true story behind the movie Adrift. In 1983, a young couple, Tammy Aldham and Richard Sharp, accepted what seemed like a dream job, sailing a luxury yacht across the Pacific Ocean. They were young. They were in love. They trusted the sea. But the sea does not care about love. Days into their journey, they sailed directly into Hurricane Raymond, one of the most powerful storms ever recorded in that region. The sky turned black. Waves rose like mountains. The wind screamed at nearly 140 miles per hour. Their yacht, small against the endless ocean, had no chance. For hours, they fought to survive, until one wave changed everything. The boat flipped. Darkness. Silence. When Tammy woke up, she was alone. Her head was bleeding. The cabin was filled with water. The navigation system was destroyed. Food supplies were almost gone. And Richard was missing. Now imagine the terror of that moment. You are thousands of miles from land. No GPS, no radio, no engine, just an endless ocean in every direction. Most people would panic. Most people would give up. But survival is not about strength. It is about refusing to stop. Tammy searched the damaged boat. She found emergency tools. She found a broken sextant. She found hope in small pieces. And then she found Richard, severely injured, barely conscious. He couldn't move much, but he spoke to her. He encouraged her. He told her she could survive. So she tried, day after day, under a burning sun, with almost no water, with salt drying her skin, with hunger weakening her body. She repaired the sail using scraps of material. She learned to collect rainwater. She caught fish with makeshift tools. She studied navigation charts while drifting in the middle of nowhere. The Pacific Ocean is not calm when you're alone. It is loud. It is empty. It is cruel. At night, the darkness is total. No city lights. No ships. Just stars and the sound of waves hitting wood. Weeks passed. Her body became thinner. Her skin burned under the sun. Her mind began to drift between memory and reality. But Richard was there, talking to her, motivating her, telling her to keep going. When she wanted to quit, he told her to hold on. When she felt hopeless, He reminded her of love, and that love became her anchor. After 41 days at sea, after drifting over 1,500 miles, she finally saw land. Hawaii. The moment was quiet. No dramatic music, just tears, exhaustion, relief. But then comes the part that changes everything. When rescuers asked about Richard, Tammy realized something devastating. Richard had died in the hurricane. He had been swept overboard during the storm. The version of Richard we saw during her survival was not physically there. He was a creation of her mind. Her brain had protected her because the truth was too painful. If she had accepted his death immediately, she might have given up. But her love for him became her strength. Her mind kept him alive so she could stay alive. Think about that. In the middle of the world's largest ocean, with no one around, the only thing keeping her alive was love. That is what makes Adrift different from other survival movies. It is not about defeating nature. It is about surviving grief. It is about how powerful the human mind can be when faced with unbearable loss. The ocean in this story is more than water. It represents isolation. It represents uncertainty. It represents every storm we face in life. Sometimes the storm is physical. Sometimes it is emotional. Sometimes it takes something or someone from us. But like Tammy, we drift forward, not because we are fearless, but because stopping means sinking. And here's the most incredible part. After surviving 41 days alone at sea, after losing the love of her life, Tammy returned to sailing. She refused to let fear define her future. That decision to face the ocean again was braver than surviving it, because surviving once is instinct, but choosing not to live in fear, that is courage. Adrift is not just a movie. It is a reminder that even when everything is broken, even when you feel completely alone, even when the storm takes what you love most, you can still move forward, one wave at a time. And sometimes that is enough.